Welcome back, everyone, to Second Act First Date, the podcast where we try to help you navigate the dating scene when you're over 40 and, well, let's just say maybe a little awkward.
Over 40 and awesome, I like to say.
Well, this time we are diving deep into a listener request, and they want to know how to find the right person.
Oh, the age-old question.
Exactly. And luckily we have this article called Dating in Your 50s, 12 Tips to Find the Right Person.
Perfect.
And I have our resident relationship expert here with me to break it all down.
Always happy to be here. You know, one of the first things that this article points out is that dating over 50 is different than dating in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, you're not starting from scratch. You have a lot more life experience.
Right. You've had careers, maybe families, maybe even a marriage or
Oh,
two.
yeah, been there.
Yeah.
But how does all of that play into finding the right person this time around?
Well, it means you're not just looking for any connection.
Right.
You're seeking a partner who aligns with your values, who understands your life stage, and hopefully gets your sense of humor.
Because who wants to waste time explaining why The Princess Bride is the best movie ever?
Exactly. And the article talks about how important self-reflection is before you even think about dating.
Oh, that's interesting. So before we even start thinking about witty dating profiles, we need to do some soul searching.
Absolutely. Because self-awareness is key to attracting the right people.
So we need to understand our values and our non-negotiables.
Yes. And maybe even embrace those quirky things you love that might not be for everyone.
So like figuring out what you bring to the table in a relationship.
That's a great way to put it. And this self-reflection is even more important after 50 because you've probably gone through some major life changes.
Divorce, loss of a partner, kids leaving the nest.
All of those things can impact what you were looking for in a relationship and what you are ready for emotionally.
Because jumping back into dating without figuring out your own needs and boundaries can be a recipe for disaster.
It really can. That's why evaluating past relationship patterns is so important.
You mean learning from our mistakes?
Exactly. Figuring out what worked, what didn't work, and how to create a healthier, happier relationship in the future.
Like DIY relationship therapy.
In a way.
Now, I know we can't avoid this forever, but we need to talk about online dating.
The elephant in the room or the algorithm in the app.
That's good.
But seriously, online dating is unavoidable these days.
It really is. So is it the best way to find love after 50?
It can be a game changer, and this article highlights some platforms that are specifically for older adults,
Oh, like what?
like Silver Singles, Our Time, and eHarmony.
Okay.
And they're all focusing on compatibility, shared interests, and values.
So it's not all about who has the best beach selfie.
Well, a good photo never hurts, but it's more about connecting with people on a deeper level, and that's where a good profile comes in.
Okay, so let's talk about profiles, because we've all seen those profiles that sound like a robot wrote them.
And the ones that are so over the top, you wonder if they're a superhero in disguise.
Right. So what's the secret?
Authenticity. Skip the cliches and focus on showcasing your personality. Talk about your interests and what you're really looking for.
And maybe avoid listing your hobbies as saving the world.
Unless that's what you actually do.
Okay, fair enough.
But honesty is key. And that goes for photos, too. Embrace who you are now, not who you were 20 years ago.
No airbrushed glamour shots.
Exactly. Keep it real, keep it fun, and let your personality shine through.
And don't forget to sprinkle in a little of that self-awareness we were talking about.
Because your profile is a chance to showcase not just what you look like, but who you are.
And speaking of showcasing, if you're looking for more ways to showcase your fabulous self,
Oh, I like that.
and maybe get some more expert dating advice, head over to secondactfirstdatepodcast.com.
We have tons of resources, hilarious stories, and a community of people who get it.
So now let's get back to the article and talk about safety, which is obviously really important when you're dating online.
It is. You need to protect yourself physically and emotionally.
And the article gives some tips for doing that, right?
It does. Like always sticking to the platform's messaging system at first.
Oh, okay.
Don't share your personal contact info until you feel comfortable.
No phone numbers, even if they send you a virtual bouquet of roses.
Take your time. Be cautious. It's always better to be safe than sorry. And when you do finally decide to meet in person, always meet in a public place.
Yeah, like a coffee shop or a restaurant,
Exactly. Somewhere where there are other people around.
just in case things get weird.
And tell a friend or family member where are going and who you're meeting.
Oh, so they can check in on you.
Right. Or be your escape route if you need one. And probably the most important tip is to trust your gut.
Yeah, like if something feels off, it probably is.
You have years of experience reading people, so don't ignore those red flags just because someone has a nice smile or can
Big one.
quote your favorite movie.
So true. Now, we've been talking a lot about online dating, but this article also mentions some alternatives, which I'm excited about because, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of apps. Sometimes it feels like you're shopping for a partner rather than connecting with a person.
I get that. And the article actually talks about exploring other ways to meet people. One of the best ways is to join a group or activity that you're interested in.
So, like, if I love yoga, I should be hitting up those yoga studios.
Yes. Think about it. You're already surrounded by people who share at least one of your
And
passions.
the conversation flows more naturally, right?
Exactly. And there's less pressure.
Plus, you're doing something you enjoy, so even if you don't meet anyone special, you still had a good time.
Exactly. And the same goes for any hobby or interest you have. Book clubs, hiking groups, cooking classes.
Well, cooking class, you could learn to make a souffle and find love.
There you go. And don't forget about your existing social network.
You mean our friends?
Yes, friends and acquaintances can be great matchmakers.
Oh, I love a good setup.
Yeah.
But seriously, our friends already know us.
They know what you're looking for, and they can vouch for you to their other single friends.
I like to think of it as a pre-vetted introduction.
That's a great way to put it.
So whether you are swiping through profiles or chatting with someone new at a pottery class, communication is key. This article really dives into how to make a genuine connection through conversation.
It's about going beyond those surface level questions and really figuring out what makes someone tick.
So instead of saying, "Did you like the movie?" Or you should ask, "What was your favorite scene and why?"
Exactly. Open-ended questions are your best friend. They give the other person a chance to share their thoughts and feelings.
It shows them that you are actually interested.
Right. And just as important as asking good questions is actually listening to the answers.
No one wants to feel like they're talking to a wall,
Put your phone away, make eye contact, and really engage with what they're saying.
especially if they're sharing something personal or vulnerable.
Absolutely. And speaking of vulnerability, this article encourages people to be open and honest about their feelings, even if it feels scary.
I think that can be tough, especially if you've been hurt in the past.
It can be, but that's where the wisdom and maturity of dating over 50 comes in.
Right. You're not trying to hide your past. You're sharing it with someone who might understand.
It's about finding someone who sees you, all of you, and accepts you for who you are.
And maybe sharing those scars can help you connect on a deeper level.
It can, and it can also help you weed out the people who aren't ready for that kind of depth.
Saves you time and heartache in the long run. Now, I know we're painting a pretty rosy picture here, but we have to be realistic. Rejection is part of dating, no matter how awesome you are.
That's true, but this article reframes rejection as a learning experience.
Instead of beating ourselves up, we should be asking what we can learn from it.
Think about what you learned from the experience.
Maybe it wasn't a good match, or there were some red flags you missed.
Exactly. Use it as an opportunity to improve your approach and get clearer on what you are really looking for.
And remember, rejection doesn't mean there is something wrong with you. It just means you weren't right for that person at that time.
Right. And who knows, that rejection could lead you to someone who is even better for you.
It's all part of the journey. And speaking of journeys, can I take a quick detour to remind everyone about our website?
Of course.
We have tons of resources and advice and hilarious stories over at secondactfirstdatepodcast.com.
Plus a whole community of people who are going through the same thing.
If you're feeling lost or just need a laugh, head over to the website.
We would love to have you.
Okay, back to the deep dive. This article talks about setting boundaries, which is something I think a lot of people struggle with, especially if they're new to dating after a long time.
Boundaries are crucial for any healthy relationship and especially important at this stage of life.
Well, yeah, you probably have routines, maybe kids or grandkids. You know what you want.
It's about knowing your needs and communicating them clearly to your partner.
So if you aren't a fan of texting all day long, or you need your Saturday mornings for yoga and coffee with friends,
You have to say so.
don't be afraid to set those boundaries.
Right. And it's not just about your time, it's about your emotional and physical boundaries too.
What are you comfortable with? What are your deal breakers?
And it's okay to have deal breakers, even if they seem small to other people.
Your boundaries are valid.
And any partner worth your time will respect them.
And speaking of partners worth your time, this article talks about dating with a sense of purpose, especially after you've gone through some big life changes.
It's about moving beyond that casual fling and finding someone who shares your values and your lifestyle.
So are you ready to have those conversations about things like retirement plans and family and travel?
It's about recognizing the signs of a serious relationship.
Like, are you meeting each other's friends and family? Are you comfortable talking about the future?
And it's okay to ask those questions, like, where do you see this relationship going? Or what are your thoughts on commitment?
You need to be open and honest with each other.
And while all this sounds serious, the article also reminds us that dating should be fun.
Yes, it shouldn't feel like a chore.
Enjoy the journey, celebrate the small wins, whether it's a great date or a fun conversation.
Or just being brave enough to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
And if it all starts to feel like too much,
You're not alone.
we have lots of stories and advice over at secondactfirstdatepodcast.com.
We're here to help.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive into dating over 50, we need to talk about safety.
Because no matter how exciting dating can be, you need to stay safe, especially when you are meeting new people.
So, safety tips, what do we need to know?
Well, this article really emphasizes protecting your personal information. It might seem obvious, but...
Yeah, but when you're excited about a new connection, you might not be thinking straight.
Exactly. It's like building a house. You don't start with the fancy finishes, right?
You need a strong foundation first.
Right. And in dating, that foundation is trust. So don't give out your home address or phone number or financial details until you really know someone.
No matter how many virtual roses they send.
Nope. Stick to the platform's messaging until you've had enough conversations to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when you do meet in person,
Public place, right?
always, for the first few dates at least.
Coffee shops, parks, restaurants.
Exactly. And this is where telling a friend comes in handy. Let them know where you're going and who you're meeting.
Like a safety net.
Exactly. They can check in on you or be your escape route if you need it. And maybe the most important thing is to trust your gut.
If something feels wrong.
It probably is. You've got years of experience reading people. Don't ignore those red flags just because someone's charming or seems to tick all your boxes.
Okay, so protect your info, meet in public, tell a friend, trust your gut. Got it. Now, the article also talks about dating with a sense of purpose. What does that mean?
Well, at this stage in life, you're not just looking for someone to hang out with on the weekends.
Right, you're looking for a partner.
Exactly. And someone who aligns with your values, your lifestyle, even your future goals. So you need to be ready to have those deeper conversations.
About family, retirement plans, travel,
It's about figuring out if this is a serious relationship or just casual dating.
and being honest with yourself about what you want.
And don't be afraid to ask those direct questions. Where do you see this going? What are your thoughts on commitment?
Honesty is key.
Always. But even though this all sounds pretty serious, don't forget that dating should also be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get caught up in the pressure of finding the one. Enjoy the adventure, explore new things, meet interesting people.
Celebrate the small wins.
A great date, a good conversation, just putting yourself out there, that's a win.
And if it all gets to be a bit much, don't forget that we are here for you. Head over to secondactfirstdatepodcast.com.
We have a whole community of people who get it.
So many stories, so much advice. All right, I think that wraps up our deep dive into dating over 50. Any last words of wisdom?
Just go into it with an open heart and be curious. You've got this. You have the experience. You have the wisdom. You can create a love story that's even better than the first time around.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure.
And to our amazing listeners, remember, you are fabulous and we are cheering you on. Don't forget to visit secondactfirstdatepodcast.com for more support and resources.
And most importantly, have fun out there.
Thank you for listening to the Second Act First Date Over 40 and Awkward podcast. We'll see you next time.